Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Rosh from the Poor Millennial Mom, and this channel is all about cash stuffing, budgeting, and debt repayment. I am a single mom on a journey to paying off $89,000 of credit card and student loan debt. So if you'd like to join me on that journey, I would love to have you. Okay guys, today it is time for me to talk about the elephant in the room. I've been avoiding making this video because I didn't want to. And I feel like I can't put it off anymore. So, it is January 2023. About this time last year, I posted my 2022 debt confession. And my goal then was to get out of debt, to clear at least one of my credit cards, but hopefully two, to make my life easier, to graduate school, start making money, and start paying back some of that debt. And things did not go according to plan at all. So life happened. Life is expensive. And well, we'll go through it, but my debt picture is not too much different than where it was this time last year. I'm not happy about it. But we've got some new ideas, some new tactics, and we're gonna power through, okay? So I'm gonna start off by listing out my debts and what their starting balance is as of today. And then we are going to talk about my process for paying that off. This is the overall debt picture worksheet from the Budget Mom. I am contemplating switching to using the Budget Mom system. I haven't quite decided yet. So if you use the Budget Mom system, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of it. Because I think I need something a little more structured than what I've been doing. And her system seems to work for a lot of people. So, okay, let's get started. I'm going to be listing these from highest balance to lowest balance. And then we are going to talk about how I'm going to pay them off. I also am only listing my credit card debt right now. My student loans are currently in repayment assistance. And what that means is because I'm low income, I don't pay anything on those loans. They are accruing interest, but the government is paying the interest portion. My federal loans are interest-free until March 2023, although there is a chance they might permanently extend that, fingers crossed. And so it's just my Alberta loans that are in repayment assistance. So right now we're not going to talk about loans. I'm not going to list them in my debt picture. We're only going to focus on my high interest debt. Also because I did get some grants and bursaries to do another program, those have extended my repayment date. So even when they do enter repayment, it won't be in March or May like I thought. It will be more like October or November, I think. So we will talk about that when we get there. But let's start with the highest one, and that is that's an eraser. RBC Visa. Y'all, this is my white whale. I cannot get rid of this credit card. I tried calling RBC. And I was like, hey, I've been a customer with you guys for a long, long time. Can I get a loan to pay this off? And they were like, no, you cannot. And I'm like, oh, cool, okay. So this is the one that has the highest balance. It is my RBC Visa. I've been trying to pay this off for years. And every time I make headway, this one is one where the minimum payment doesn't really cover the interest. And so even when I'm paying the minimum payment, it feels like I'm making no progress whatsoever. And it drives me nuts because it's such a high balance. The interest rate on all my credit cards are the same, so that's nice. Okay, next we have the Fido MasterCard. And for those of you that have been following my debt journey, you know that I actually got this card down to under $1,000 in 2022, and then What happened? Can you guess? I wasn't making enough money, and it just got ahead of me. This one it has a lower minimum payment. The RBC Visa has the highest minimum payment. And part of the problem with this card, long story short, I started a new job, but due to the way the previous person left that job, I didn't have proper access to the banking. So I had access to the like online accounts, but I didn't have a company credit card. And the problem is that with this particular job, there is a need for me to buy things because I'm working with artists. I have to go buy the food for their green room. I have to buy office supplies for my home office. I have to buy, stamps so I can send out donation requests and email tickets and or mail, not email, mail tickets and that sort of thing. And so what was happening was I was putting it on my personal card and then getting reimbursed. And it just got ahead of me. And there's some stuff on here that is still waiting to be reimbursed. And to their credit, they do reimburse on each paycheck if I submit the expense report. But we opened a new bank account for that company, and so now I should be issued a company credit card so that I don't have to pay out of pocket for these company expenses. Before y'all say it's a scam, it's not, I promise. It's just a nonprofit, and anybody who's worked in nonprofit knows that they are a whole being all on their own. Okay, and then there's the last one. That's the Tangerine MasterCard. And this one currently has a balance of $29.10 and 82 cents. Same interest rate as the others. And the minimum payment on this is $82.42. So the total for all of my debt is $16,969 and 27 cents. And that's not good. But I've realized some things about myself over the course of this year, over the course of filming these struggles with paying back debt. First of all, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and that explains a lot. It explains a lot more than I thought. I just thought I was bad with money, which, I mean, is probably true. But also, there are just some things going on with me that I did not realize that were contributing to me being bad with money. So, that's something I'm working on. I'm working through with my doctors, my therapists, and my family to kind of figure out, like, how are we going to navigate this? The other thing is, and guys, this is important, so do pay attention to this particular point. I wasn't making enough money. So I graduated. I did my last class in April. I got my parchment in June because of the way the school does it. And I got a job right before I graduated at the university working in their theater department as the bar manager. So most universities have a theater or theaters and they run bars and concession services for events. So that was my job, was doing the ordering, the staffing, the planning, all of that for these shows. But when I got the contract, it was for 17 and a half hours. I didn't want that. I wanted a full-time contract. And my boss said, "Oh, don't worry, you'll be working full-time hours." Well, survey found that was a lie because he had me working full-time for 2 months. Then over the summer, switched me to part-time, and then just never bothered to bring me back to full-time even though it was needed. So I could not afford all of my bills without going into the red every single month with that job. So I started that job in April. Somewhere around June is when I started looking for other jobs, applying like crazy, looking for full-time work. I did also still have my part-time job, so it wasn't like I was super dire for money, but I did need more. At my so-called main or full-time job, I was pulling in maybe $900 a paycheck, maybe a little bit less after taxes, and that was not enough. It wasn't enough to cover all my bills. I had to pull my kids out of daycare because I just couldn't afford it. And so that didn't help. And then so I started applying in the summer, like in June, applying for all sorts of jobs. I was looking at the other university, maybe there were some jobs I could do there. I thought maybe I could go into theater management, even though that isn't necessarily where I wanted to be, but I had the skills to do it. I was looking for just full-time, like business admin, office sort of jobs. Um, and I was interviewing with the job I have now, which took a while. I really wanted the job. I thought I was well suited to the job. The problem is that nonprofits move very slowly, and it took me 3 months from my initial application to when I finally got the job. And so I was still applying for other stuff at the time, but I did end up with this job, which is a better fit for me because I work from home. I don't work full time technically. I work 25 hours a week under a contract with these guys, and I don't um, so it is a salaried contract position, but it doesn't have any benefits. So now I have to start paying my own taxes and health insurance, which is still okay. I'm actually making more even after paying taxes and health insurance than I was with a union job at the university working less hours. So, but that lack of money over those 4 months is what did me in, because I just didn't have the money to cover everything. I just didn't. And my theater job also tends to slow down over the summer, and it probably will this summer as well, because theater tends to run on a September to June schedule, and the one I work at, we run shows for Broadway, ballet, and opera. And then we fill in with other dance shows, graduations, and special events. So there's not much going on in the summer. I think there is a Broadway show in 2023 that I'll be working, and in 2022 there was a 5-week, I think it was 5-week, a 5-week run of Hamilton. So that was good for money. But it just hasn't been great. It has not been great. However, going into 2023, I have a few goals to help me pay off this debt. Now, almost $17,000 is a lot of money for me to pay off. And tax-wise, I think this might be the first year in my adult life where I actually owe taxes, which is not amazing. I may have enough tuition offsets to still not owe taxes, but we'll see. We'll see where we end up. But I want to start with my lowest balance and work my way to my biggest balance. So we're going to be using the debt snowball method. So that means that the first one I'm going to prioritize is Tangerine, then Fido, then RBC. But there's something else I'm going to be doing before I start working on debt. And so this is something I realized also over the course of the year is I am a single parent and my kids require sudden, expensive outflows of cash. For example, my son needed a dental surgery and the cost for that was $1,200, and I paid that. My ex-husband still owes me money for part of that. He hasn't paid me back. But expensive stuff happens often to my family. And so one of my goals before I really start tackling debt is to get my savings in order. To that end, of course, there's a 10% fund, which is funneling into my emergency fund. My goal for my emergency fund is $2,000, and I did hit that early this year. I got some tip money from my job, and I put whatever I could to top up my emergency fund to $2,000 out of that tip money. So the emergency fund is funded. Now we are working on the sinking funds and the savings goals. So those of you who watch my cash stuffing videos, you know I have 4 sinking funds and 4 savings goals. 2 of those goals are for my kids' birthdays. My daughter's birthday has been fully funded. It's in March. My son's birthday is next. That's in September. And so we're going to work on funding that. I should be done that middle of this month. After that, we're going to fund Christmas. The goal for that is $800. And then after that, we're going to fund grad school. Although, to be honest, I may switch grad school into a sinking fund instead of a savings goal, because I just got to prioritize paying this down before I can even think about grad school. And then we have my 4 sinking funds. So the sinking funds that I use, these are the ones that money goes into every paycheck. I don't know how much an emergency is going to cost, but I just keep putting money in there to make sure that I can pay it off when it hits, or at least pay off most of it. So we have kids. This is for kid-related expenses. So things like scouting fees, camping, school stuff like field trips, winter gear, um, kids stuff. Kids need sudden stuff, and so it's important to be able to deal with that in my budget. We have car. Um, my plan was to buy a car. I wanted to buy a car this year, but after talking with my family and the people I love, I'm too nervous behind the wheel of a car. Like, I am incredibly anxious about driving. I am frightened to do it. I don't want to do it. It is becoming a necessity in my life because transit in the city is awful, absolutely awful, and becoming quite unsafe. So I'm going to take some of my car money and use that towards driving lessons this year to, you know, actually learn how to feel comfortable behind the wheel of a car before I actually buy a car. Um, so that will come out of the car fund, and that's actually good because it will give me more time to save up a down payment for a car and also let me get rid of some of this debt. Then the other 2 sinking funds we have are, there's travel. My 30th birthday is this year, and my sister has offered to fly me out to the East Coast. So she'll pay for tickets, and I think we've got some free places to stay. So it'll be food and other stuff. And this is something that's really important to me. I really value traveling, and 30 is a milestone. So I do want to spend some money there. So that's a sinking fund as well. And then the last sinking fund I have is health. So I do have health insurance. I pay for private health insurance out of pocket for me and both kids. And this is meant to cover whatever isn't covered by the insurance. So I guess the deductible. Yeah. So this is meant for things like, paying when we go to the dentist because it only covers 80%. Glasses. I will probably need new glasses this year. Um, Medication. I have asthma, so I'm on an inhaler that's pretty pricey actually, but necessary. So that's one, again, it's not fully covered. And, even just things like over the counter medications, antibiotics, things like that are necessary for us. So for the first little while of 2023, I am only going to be paying the minimum payments here. So this is what I'm going to be paying. So it comes to about, we're going to call it $400 because I can't do math right now. Yeah, that's probably close enough actually. So the minimum payments is all I'm going to be paying on these. Once my emergency fund is funded, which it is, my my savings goals have been hit, and I have a little bit extra as well in my checking account cushion. Then we're going to start tackling debt significantly more. So right now, what I'm doing is, for all of my cash stuffings and all of my paychecks, I take 10% and I was putting that into my emergency fund. Now that 10% is going to be funneled towards savings to hit those goals faster. Once those saving goals are hit, that 10% is going to go directly into debt. And that's where I would love your feedback. Should I take the cash out, put it into an envelope, and then pay my credit card at the end of every month? Or should I just mark it off in my little debt payoff sheet and then just e-transfer it as soon as I get paid? Would love to know your feedback on that. I'm kind of leaning towards option 2 just so that it's done. But guys, this is the thing, like, I hate this. I hate this number. I hate this because this doesn't even include my student loans. Like, my student loans are still $75,000. And it's just absurd. It's just ridiculous. Um And I know people have commented saying, like, what's your plan for making more money? I do have a plan for making more money. I am supposed to be moving into a 30 to 35 hour a week contract with this job. So that will help bring my income up. I'm also trying to pick up writing work. I worked as a copywriter for a long time as a way to bring in more money. I'm working on a campaign that's going to ramp up. Well, it's already ramping up, but it's going to ramp up April, May. So I will be making money there. That's some of my freelance work, and it pays $20 an hour. I usually do somewhere between 2 and 8 hours a week, depending on my schedule. Definitely 2, sometimes way more. So it just kind of depends on what my availability is like. And then, of course, my part-time job at the theater, I am trying to pick up more supervisor shifts instead of bartending shifts because the supervisor shifts pay more, and I also get included in the tip pool for that. So, again, trying to make moves, trying to make more money. I have looked at my expenses to see where I can cut, and I'm going to be honest, I don't really think there's anything in my must-pay expenses that I can cut. Because my rent is set, my utilities, well, those just keep going up. Groceries keep going up. My internet is set. My kids' tuition is set. My phone bill is set, although that will go down in March because I will have finished paying my phone down. So that'll be going down by $20. So yay. But anyways, guys, this is where my credit card debt is at in the beginning of 2023. And by the end of 2023, I want to set reasonable goals for myself because I think one of the things I suffer from is I get very ambitious and overcommit, and then I burn out and don't know what to do, and I feel ashamed and I feel upset, and then to compensate I impulsively spend money, and then I dig myself deeper in the hole, and it's just this never-ending cycle. So by the end of 2023, I want to at least have paid off my Tangerine MasterCard. That is my goal right now. That is what I'm going to focus on through this year. Once that one's paid off, we'll move on to the next one and the next one. But I need something reasonable, something achievable, and I think just about $3,000 in 12 months is more than possible. That's like, I don't know, $250 a month extra. That's doable. For me to say I'm going to pay off all of these debts by the end of the year, and I'm going to eat beans and rice, and I'm never going to go anywhere, and I'm never going to do anything, and I'm going to restrict myself from everything and not do anything is not going to work. Because I've tried that and it doesn't work. And I need something that's sustainable, something that's useful, something that is achievable. So, yeah, $16,969.27 in credit card debt. That's where we're at. Would love your feedback on here. Please remember, of course, that this is a positive space. I will happily answer any questions in the comments or on Instagram or, I will answer questions, but negativity is not appreciated. I know what I did. I know why. I know I'm here. I know. I know. You don't need to tell me. So, just leave me your comments, leave me your own debt payback stories. Would love them. If you have any YouTube channels you follow that are also focused on debt payoff, leave a link. I'd love to follow them as well. And I am planning on making monthly updates to this debt payoff. And then every month, we're just going to talk through it. I'm going to tell you my wins, my loses. I'm going to tell you my hopes and dreams and just kind of give you some insight into what my struggles are, because I think a lot of channels only show you the positive. They'll be like, I paid off $5,000 this month. That's a made up number. I don't know anybody who even has $5,000. They'll say, I paid off this big amount, woohoo. but they don't talk about their struggles in paying off that big amount. They don't talk about the setbacks. The I screwed up and bought 75 pounds of butter. I'm not even making any sense. I screwed up and spent $75 on Amazon, or I went on a spending spree because I had a bad week, or anything like that. And people don't talk about that, but that is a part of the process. You have to learn, you have to keep trying, you have to keep going. And progress is progress. Progress is not perfection. Progress is making things 1% better, or just paying a little bit more, or just trying a little bit harder. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be the best at it. You are human. I am human. We are human. We will get there. It just might be slower. So, thank you again for watching. Thank you for spending time with me. I appreciate you. And I will see you again soon. Stay tuned, stay happy, have a good week. Bye.